is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis, I'm going. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with more draft coverage. We're going to talk about Tyrese Haliburton, a guy that a lot of people like in this draft, and I do too. He's one of those guys that understands the game, knows his game, knows what he brings to the table, very patient, very smart, not even high Q wise, just a guy that's under control, really knows how to control his dribbles, really knows where to go on the court, knows where to be on the court, and that's something that you don't really see in guys his age, especially running the point guard position. And a lot of us know how hard it is to be a point guard in today's NBA. A lot of the guards are tough to defend. A lot of the guards are score first players, and that's one of the toughest positions in the league. And Tyrese Haliburton is a guy that we all kind of like because he's just a genius on the court. He's just a floor general. That's a perfect word. He knows where to be. He knows how to set up his teammates, and he doesn't rush. And even when he gets shots, he doesn't. He still figures out a way to get it to another teammate. Figures out a way to reset the offense if he doesn't like it. So it's going to be different in the NBA, obviously, because you get 24 seconds, you get 4 quarters, and I don't see Tyrese really going to a situation where he can be a starter in this particular draft just because it's not too many teams that desperately need a point guard. Plus, Tyrese Haliburton is a guy that you can give that 25 minutes to. You trust him to initiate and set out the offense and in the tempo of the game. I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. But Tyrese can slow the game down. He can speed it up, even in transition, even in the half court. And he's a guy that can be a stationary shooter. He can be a guy like a Patty Mills or a guy like a Bryn Forbes, where if you leave him open, he can dead eye. If you leave him open, he's shooting NBA quality threes in college. And if you give him that shot, he's willing to take it because that's one of the moves in his repertoire, in his arsenal. So I like that he has that because a lot of time you want guys that can do stuff off the ball and not have to always have the ball in their hands, because you look at the NBA now, the point guards are score first and the guards and the wings have the ball in their hands a lot too if they don't have a point guard that can create his own shot. And when you have a guy like him that's willing to play off the ball, can play off the ball, but also can run a full offense, that just give you another dynamic and something that's special um, on your team, especially when you get a guy that doesn't really even be caring sometimes if he scores. A lot of the time, he rather set up his teammates. He rather find other ways for his team and find other ways to help them win. And that's just maturity. Maturity is a big word for him, just because he know what he is. He knows what he is, and that's something that any team will take. Because if you draft this guy, you know what you're getting, you know what he's going to bring to the table, and you know that he's going to work hard and he's going to try to understand the game to the best of his ability. And you don't see that for 18, 19, 20 years old, because most of them want to come in and prove themselves. Most of them want to come in and try to become rookie of the year. It looks like Tyrese is going to be one of those guys where you pick me, let's get ready to go. Let's get ready to figure out how we're going to run this offense, and let's find out how to win games. So you're not going to find too many guys like that at the point guard position, especially in the NBA today. And for him to be so unselfish and for him to be so witty, it's a beautiful thing to see a player like him and the caliber of a player like him being a lottery pick potentially. Is interesting to see where he will fall. Just because a guy like him, I can see him working on a young team because he still is young, but he knows his game, he knows his role, and he knows what he brings to the table. But I can also see him working on the veteran team because he's not a guy that's trying to fight for minutes. He's not a guy that's trying to prove himself. He's not a guy that's trying to go out there and win MVP. He's a guy that's going to come in and do whatever the team and the coach needs him to do. And that's something that winners have to do, especially if they want to go to a veteran team or a team that can possibly win a title. And the main reason why I bring that up, because Tyrese is not really a player that people feel on most draft boards as a top five or even a guaranteed top 10 player, which means you go to possibly, because we haven't seen the draft lottery yet, you go to teams that already have established players, established stars, or a team that's not that bad, but they're a couple pieces away from being very good. And Tyrese is one of those guys where you can get him on a 3, 4, $5 million contract, and he's going to prove his worth with that type of contract. He's going to put in the work. He's going to run the system. He's going to make winning plays, and he can be under that contract for another 3 to 4 years. And you can, have him as a restricted free agent and keep him around. You can figure out, can he be a starter? What can we do to make him become a better player? Or do we just need a guy that can come in on the cheap and understand his role and run the offense and go out there and do his thing? So players like him, you don't see that often, especially at the point guard position. A lot of the point guards that you will think of became buses in the NBA because they wasn't able to score, they wasn't able to shoot off the ball, and they really wasn't able to come in and contribute. And I feel like Tyrese has all those boxes checked already. I like him. I'm a fan of his. A lot of people that really, really like him, they have him higher in the draft. But with him being a limited athlete, with him not really being the strongest finisher, with him not really being the greatest. When you look at this game, he don't have the versatility of having a lot of moves. He's more of a guy that knows his shots, knows how to get his shots, and that's about it. He doesn't really give you a lot of variety of shots, and he doesn't really give you a variety of playmaking. So I can see him being limited as a rookie and as a sophomore just because he only can really bring so much to the table as a player that he currently is. Maybe he can understand the game when it slows down and the team around him gets better. Maybe he can become a better player in the future, which you hope to do anyway in the draft. But as of right now, I do see him as a seventh or an eighth guy that you can bring off the bench and he can produce right now at the NBA level. But he also might have that potential where he might never be an all-star or a superstar caliber player, which is fine because sometimes in that 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 range, you just want somebody that can play. You just want somebody that's not a bust. And I feel like this is a guy that most likely won't be a bust. So you're not really mad about picking him. You're not frustrated about picking him because you know what you're getting, and that's why you're selecting him. So Tyrese Haliburton is he's a very good player, and he's very I have a lot of things that I like about him. But his defense will be a problem just because you come into the NBA, you're at one of the tougher positions, and it's a lot of guys that are already established stars that are faster, that are quicker, and can shoot. And it just become a lot more frustrating when you can play good defense, but they can always get a quality shot off, or they can always have a counter, and then you don't want to get too low. You don't really get, in your head and really feel like you can't play, or you feel like you're letting your team down just because you can't stop guys. I really feel like a lot of guys in this draft are going to struggle offensively as rookies because they're so flawed as players, but I also see them struggling defensively because a lot of these guys aren't great defenders in college or high school, and now they're playing against the best players in the league and what the best players in the world, and you're going against superstar players that are cooking people on a daily basis. And we have seen that throughout the last 10 years that majority of even the number one pick point guards and even the franchise point guards that became now, a lot of them still are not great defenders, even though they've been in the league for a lot of years. And a lot of us just accepted that just because this is who they are. We know what they bring to the table, and we already know what they're not bringing to the table. And Tyrese already has a limited athleticism. He already have a limited scoring ability, and the fact that you really can't trust him to be a great defender either, because he never was. That's gonna be a little, reason why he won't be going in the top 10 also. But at least in those 20 to 25 minutes, you got somebody that can produce, make an impact, and really help, influence winning out of the gate and even 3 to 4 years from now, which a lot of players in this draft possibly could do. And like I said about Josh Green, that's going to be the competition of finding guys that you can plug in, finding guys that you can utilize, and finding guys that already have a defined role. And this draft has those type of players, but they also don't have the superstar upside in the beginning of the draft. So Tyrese is one of those guys that I like. I got respect for. I can see a lot of teams trading down passing up on players and just picking them up. I can see teams like Sacramento not having a problem picking them up. I can see a team like Orlando not really having a problem picking them up. I can even see Boston because Marcus Smart is a guy that can play multiple positions. I can see them, getting a guy like this, like him, to run the offense coming off the bench, and then you can play Marcus Smart, off the ball a little bit more because he's been a more better 3-point shooter the last couple of years, so he can be an off the ball guy, and you can have both of them. Like I said, give you that next dynamic that where you don't have to really play Kimba all the time with, you know, um, Marcus Smart. You can have something else. Milwaukee, I can see them, depending on how they build their roster this next up and coming season after this one is finally done. I can see them picking them up. I definitely can see Brooklyn getting a guy like him just because Dinwiddie and Kyrie have injury problems. And even Charlotte, it might sound crazy with Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier, just trying to trade down and get somebody that can produce, even if he might not be the highest upside. If you can't really get the guy you want, why not get a couple more guys that can fill a role and on the cheap? And even Washington, that would be an interesting thing because Scott Brooks, he loves guys that can play those type of roles. And you already have John Wall. You can add another piece. I don't really see Phoenix being the spot for him. I don't really see Portland being the spot for him because Anthony Simons, and even New Orleans is a little, you got to think about it a little bit. You got Drew Holiday, you got Lonzo, and guys like that. But that's the only problem with Tyrese is the offense not having a lot of moves under his bag, and defensively possibly being a liability. But if you're playing him as a role player, you're giving him 15 to 25 minutes. You're not relying heavy on him like you'll be doing with a top 5 pick to try to become something special in the future. You're just trying to give him that defined role as a 7th or 8th guy that can contribute on the team. But the problem with him too is, like I said, there's a lot of wings and a lot of guards and a lot of forwards in that 10 to 25 range that can possibly be picked over him just because they do have the upside, or they can fill a role that is more popular and more asset ability. And what I mean by that is you can get those guys that can fill those wings and guard roles, and they're tradable because the league is always looking for 3-and-D guys and guys that can shoot the 3, even though he can, but he don't have the size and the length that a lot of other players in that area still can have, and that upside, he might not have like the other guys that possibly could be in that range. So there's a lot of point guards in this draft that I like, and I'm gonna tell you guys about that as the weeks go on. But he's one of the ones that could be more of a sure thing, but also could be a guy that may never be a superstar or all-star, and you have to be fine and content with that with picking them. And if you are, you're getting a solid player, and that's pretty good for a lot of these teams because a lot of them is borderline playoff or just a couple pieces away, like I said, from being a playoff team, and adding another piece that's cheap that can contribute, it can make a difference, and is a winner in general. That's a good thing to pick up late in that draft if you can't find anybody else that you like, or you don't really want to take a gamble on a guy that could be a bust, or an overseas guy that hasn't really proven much and possibly may not even play over here anyway. At least you get what you get, and you know what you're getting, and a lot of the time that's all you really need in the NBA draft when you already have your stars established. So Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis Facebook page. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comments below. Like on Facebook for everybody liked on Facebook. Thanks. Also, check out my website, analysisplayground.com. I'm going to be writing and doing different things under to differentiate from this channel. So check that out. It's free. Also, check out my spread shirt. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you can buy merchandise. Also, check out my Facebook page if you want merchandise like shirts. I can get them shipped out to you. Hats too. So just let me know what you want. Also, at the end of the day, I make videos just like this. If you like discussion, you like talking about basketball and hearing it, I got you covered. This is the channel for you. Also, like I said before, I do videos like this. I also break down footage of players, legends, rookies, and I also cover the draft, as you see, free agency, trade deadline, all season long, regular season, summer league, G League, everything. I got you covered. So if you love basketball, you can't live without it, this is the channel for you. Subscribe, become part of the family. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm gone. And let me know what you guys feel about Tyrese.